Hi, my name is Mandolin Royal, and here we are for another episode of Confessions with a Broody Hen. She's a good listener. Once again, she didn't get herself off the nest, so I pulled her off, and here we are. There's her food and water. She's poked around at it a little bit. But what I was thinking about chickens today is that it took a long time for me to come around to the concept of purposeful breeding. I used to be really big into the variety of egg colors and looking for that next weird color of green or speckled blue or really dark brown. I spent several years at that. But the cockerels kept coming back. It's too scrawny to eat. So it went against our dual purpose goals. And there was another phase I had where I was fascinated by trait expression in hybrids. And I created some pretty funky looking birds that had barred feathers of various colors with head crest or no head crest, feathered feet or no feathered feet. There was a couple of seasons where I was kind of like a mad scientist of sorts. And that was educational. It really taught me a lot about how traits pass forward. But then it dawned on me one day that I was kind of wasting my time. You could find hybrid chickens a lot more commonly than you could find purebred birds. And if no one's working on the purebreds really, then what are we going to have to hybridize from? So there's a lot of bloodlines or breeds out there that are at risk. And without them, we lose true diversity. So then that turned me on to the idea of picking a breed and really working at them from a preservation and development standpoint. And coming to terms with that was actually pretty cool because now I feel like there is a purpose and there is a goal and we're going somewhere with it rather than just filling up the incubator and goofing off. I did that for a long time. I probably have 20 years experience just goofing off with chickens. And what do I have to show for it now? Nothing. Not a single bird is left from that. I learned a lot and I gained knowledge. That's very important. But I didn't come out of it with anything lasting, which is the case more often than not. So today, with these birds, I'm moving around some babies. I'm looking over grow outs, trying to decide if I'm going to hatch another batch before winter. Haven't decided yet. And thinking an awful lot about next year and the sort of pen arrangements I want to do here. Because I do want to come up with a pretty well established bloodline. And that's going to take quite a while. It doesn't happen overnight. You can't just decide and then do it. It's a progress that has to happen. Incremental improvements, a little better every season. Learning the bloodline, learning how they throw traits forward, learning what they're hiding recessively. That's a pretty good time. You can take a male and a female and breed them together and outwardly they look great, but they're kids. They might have something funky going on, and that's because the parents hid it recessively. So you have to go through your breeding arrangements and figure out if you've got anything hidden in there and work at removing all of that from the bloodline. Once that's removed, then you can really get somewhere. And that might take 2 or 3 seasons, 5 seasons, 7 seasons, 10 seasons. Just depends. You have to do your breeding for science to figure out what you're actually breeding forward and what happens 2 or 3 generations down the line. Because one of the things that hybrid breeding taught me is that your very first generation is really consistent. They're gonna look pretty similar to each other. And then if you take those birds and you breed them together for the second generation, you might see some variations, but nothing too crazy. But that third generation of breeding hybrids together, that's when it gets really exciting. And now you're 3 generations of time and effort and expense into it, and now what do you have? It's going to be a big mess, and it's going to have to get sorted through, so hopefully you went into it with goals, and hopefully you knew what you were looking for out of that hybrid plan. And that's right about when I decided I was not going to pursue creating a breed or creating a particular hybrid. It's high maintenance. There's a lot of calls, more so than with extras from purebred breeding. But it sure was educational, so if you want to learn something about trait expression, maybe do a little side project for fun. Monitor your results, track which birds you were breeding from and what they threw. But this goofy girl, she's kind of why I do this. She's not too far off the map for what her breed's supposed to be. And she's got personality. But it looks like she's trying to get back, so that's all the thoughts I have today. I'm going to go ahead and put her back. Get on with my day. I'll probably have to let her off this afternoon, too. Are you ready? What are you doing? You're not nesting in my lap. I'm gonna put you back where you go. I don't have any eggs in here. Alright, you're goofy. I'm gonna have to turn this off and get this girl back where she belongs.